My name is Nikki, aka the Dragon Queen, and today I'm here with my wrap-up for the Make Me Readathon. This was hosted on Twitter. I'm not sure entirely who was hosting it. I just remember seeing somebody talk about it. It went from the 6th through the 12th, and then on 13th the reading quest started. So, I actually did not get through my entire TBR. However, I did finish 2 of the paperbacks that I had intended to read, and I managed to listen to 3 or 4 audiobooks in that week as well. So the first book I finished, which I was already partially in, was Karvall by Stephanie Garber. I finally got through the book and I gave it 5 stars. Overall, I really did enjoy this book. It was whimsical, it was magical, it had a sense of mystery throughout the entire thing, and I was not expecting the ending, which is always a sign of a good book for me, because a lot of times I can figure out what the ending is going to be, especially in mysteries. So I was very pleased that I could not figure that out on my own. There were some things that caught me off guard, which I enjoyed, but not in a negative way. So 5 out of 5 stars, highly recommend that book. If you're going into it thinking of the Night Circus, you will be not disappointed, but it's not the Night Circus. It's nowhere near as whimsical as the Night Circus. It's more focused on the character interactions and less on the world around them. There is some play on the world around them, which I did. I was liking the building of that, but it focuses way more on character development than anything, and that is a good sign of a book. Character development is a huge thing that needs to be considered in any book, I think. You can have as much beauty and whimsicalness and amazing writing, but if the characters are flat, then it's boring. So, anyway, moving on. The second book that I managed to finish, which was on audiobook, and that was Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This is book 4 of the Percy and the Olympian series. I think I mentioned in the Pop Sugar Challenge, I've officially read up through book 5 already and started the next series by Rick Riordan. This book in itself was a 4-star book. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. There wasn't as much issues regarding the young adult theme. I know I said middle schooler. Now it's more young adult because Percy Jackson, the main character, is 15, 16 years old. I think he's 15 in this book. The thing I really enjoy about this series is the combination of mythology into the world and figuring out how it's advanced and changed from what we know from mythology today. So I really do like that, and I like how he adds characters that you don't think of because they're very minor people, or they weren't thought of as immortals or gods or anything like that. So I do enjoy that. I do recommend this series in full. I wish I read it when I was a little younger, but just like with Harry Potter, the further you get in, the closer they get to your age range, the more I'm enjoying it. Directly after the Battle of the Labyrinth, I jumped into the audiobook for The Last Olympian, which was number 5 in that same series. This book was fantastic. It was the first book I gave 5 out of 5 stars to in the entire series. He is officially 16. They tied everything up. Rick Riordan tied everything up perfectly, I believe. And in a lot of ways, it was nothing how I expected it. I know that in book 1, I was complaining that it was very obvious who parents were and how things were going and blah blah blah. In this one, it was not obvious, to me at least, on how things were going to happen, who was going to win, who was going to lose. I did not know, I obviously knew about Percy's fate because I had accidentally read book 1 in the next series. However, it didn't take away from this book. I also do like how they gave other demigods a chance to shine in this book, which is something that a lot of other books with a main character and then other characters don't usually see. You're usually dead set on that one character and ignore the rest of the cast. So they did that very well in this final book, and it was an amazing conclusion to the series. So I highly recommend the entire 5-book series. And then jump into the next series, which starts with, I forget what it's called, but it starts with the Roman aspect of it. After I finished some young adult reading, I felt like it was time to give Neil Gaiman another shot. I have absolutely adored everything I've read by him, so I saw Neverwhere, which I've never heard of, on my library's recommendation list, and I picked it up on audiobook. Fantastic. It was 4 out of 5 stars, but overall I did thoroughly enjoy the writing style. I enjoyed the characters. There was definitely great character development and great world building in it. I think it was fantastic how Neil Gaiman created London below and London above, and he made it seem like this is something you could just walk to London and just see if you met the right person. He made the realism of it seem like it could actually happen to you. And that's something that was very nice to see. Magic was involved, but magic wasn't as necessary as they thought. So it wasn't like, oh, you won't win if you don't have magic. It was more magic. Some people have it. Not everybody has it. Something to consider. Very good book. Basically, I've been very impressed with anything Neil Gaiman has written, especially since I read Norse mythology. Then, after I finished that book, I finally got my hold of the Sorcerers by Michael Scott. This was book 3 of the Alchemist series, or the Nicholas Flamel series. I've been the first one was okay, but as I go through the series, I'm really enjoying the growth of these characters. I adore that there is real world events in the story and it's tying it into the story. I adore how there's real life historical figures in these books and they're creating them into something better and newer. I like how they went into depth of the Sorceress, who is Perenelle Flanell, the wife of Nicholas. And I like how you're getting a little bit more into depth of her because you really only scrape the surface. And even after finishing book 3, I still feel like we're not entirely sure what to expect. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I believe, and honestly, the only reason why I took some stars off is because the twins reaction was getting kind of tiresome by now. They keep saying that one of them is going to betray the other and nothing is happening. So I was getting kind of annoyed, though now that I know there are 6 books in the series, I think that made it a little bit easier because I know they have at least 2 more books to solve it. And now that I've gotten into the 4th book, it's answered a couple of more questions and pushed forward. So the series is phenomenal, though. I do recommend anything, or at least this series by Michael Scott. And the voice actor who does the audiobooks actually does a really good job. Like, you can tell the differences in their accents, and there's a lot of accents in this book. Like, there is a lot of them. So it's very nice to hear those little snippets where they just like learning, where you can hear that voice. And finally, on Friday, I started Snared by A.G. Howard. This is the third book in the trilogy, the Splintered novel series. This book was fucking fantastic. Like, I've said phenomenal last one. This was 20 times more phenomenal than any other book I've mentioned. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. If I could give it more, I would. I was honestly shocked at how A.G. Howard managed to wrap everything up in this book. I was very confused as to how that was going to happen. They left it up to so many options, and none of them are what I thought was going to happen. The one thing I did like, I liked how the love triangle ended. It was a different way than most love triangles would end, and that's weird for me because usually I despise love triangles. I cannot fucking stand love triangles, but this book here just did it perfectly. It absolutely blew my mind how she put it all together, got everything worked out, and though the ending was faster than the rest of the book, it did not feel rushed or forced, which also surprised me because usually those type of things feel forced if you're just like, and everybody lived happy ever after, done. But that's not what she did. I am very excited to finally jump into Untamed, which is 3.5. I'm curious to see where A.G. Howard takes it, and I need more of the Wonderland series. I also bought Roseblood, which is her Phantom of the Opera retelling. I know it's not the same work, but I've just been impressed over and over again with A.G. Howard. Plus, she actually responds on Twitter, which I think is fantastic. It's so rare to see authors, especially authors who have become big and amazing and bestsellers and whatever. It's rare to see them actually respond and interact with their player or with their fan base. So I find that very soothing and very nice to see. It's something I hope that I will be able to do if I ever become famous, from writing. Though I will admit that I accidentally said that she wrote Heartless, and I know that's Marissa Meyer, and I tagged her in it, and she's like, I didn't write that. And I was like, yeah, so I just finished Snared and bought Roseblood, and my brain is stuck on A.G. Howard, but I was thinking of standalone books, and Heartless was the first one that came to mind, and for some reason I thought, yeah, I was like, don't mind me, I'm just having a blonde moment. No amount of hair color is going to cover up the blonde. In total, I have read 6 books for the week of Make Me Readathon. Out of those 6, 3 were on my shelf, books that I already intended to read, which is fantastic. 2 were books that I wanted to read because of books I previously read and they were part of a series, and 1 was just a random read. If you participated in the Make Me Readathon, what books did you read? List them down below in the comments. Have you read any of these books? And if so, what did you think about them? Did you share the same opinions as I did? Or did you despise them? I'd love to know. And if you did despise them, why? I'd love to know that too. Also, if you are participating in any other readathons coming up, for example, the Reading Quest, I would love for you to go see my Reading Quest TBR, and let me know there what you're reading. So, like it if you like it, subscribe if you want to, and this is the Dragon Queen signing off.